So Rachel, we worked together April 27th, was it? And now fast forward a few months later, it's
Yes.
August 16th. Um,
Yes,
do you remember some of the things you wanted to work on when we started?
I do. I was at the point where um, I was struggling so significantly with my mindset that I had almost decided that I wanted to give up. I was like teeter tottering because it was just life was just so incredibly hard. I had so many what I called problems in both in business and in personal that it was just so overwhelming. I didn't even know where to go. So it was pretty bad back then.
So when you say give up, what do you mean by give up?
It took me a month to choose to even live because my body was physically giving up, my mind and my spirit were giving up. And no, I would never like indirectly like kill myself, but you can still give up the will to live, and it's the same thing. And I was for a month straight, I had to battle those constant thoughts every day of, you know, am I gonna live or am I not? And it took me an entire month. So right around the fact, or when we were, when you worked with me, it was very hard during that time. So what was the question one more time?
No, that was the question. It was just kind of helping people get a state for kind of where you're at mentally now. And you had an opportunity to actually see some of that footage from the work we actually did.
Yes, I looked at myself back, and that was just in April. Um, I looked tired. I looked worn out. It didn't even look like me at all. Um, None of it was me. And I can't even believe, like looking at that video, I was just laughing, going, who is that person? Because I don't even recognize her anymore. And to where I am today, my mindset is so incredibly different. I'm learning to understand who I am, and be okay with that and accept that and embrace it and know my value. And I think that was the biggest thing before is I didn't know my value, and I was giving myself up so easily in business and doing everything for free because I didn't know my worth, and I didn't know it wasn't something that I really even thought about before. And it almost cost me everything.
And
So
what's transformed and where are you at now?
what's transformed is to understanding and knowing exactly my worth and knowing that I'm priceless. And if I view myself as priceless, everybody else is going to view them. I'm the one that sets the standard for who I am and what I do. And, my time is valuable, just like my money and my physical body. It's all very priceless and worth something. And it's the same in business or in personal. The way I see it is you wouldn't, and let's say you're on a date or whatever, you're not going to give yourself up the first time you meet that person. No, they have to get to know you. It's the same thing in business. So for me, I'm working on creating real, authentic relationships in business and in personal because I want to get to know the person for who they are. Because number one, you really can't have deep connections with people unless you find out who they are, and vice versa, and then let them, get to know you for you. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm working on that I didn't have at all before. Um,
And you work with some just amazing people. I mean, you're an amazing person yourself. You put on these large events there in like Hollywood and all these celebrities and the people and all kind of crazy stuff you do. So, I mean, it's amazing what you do on a constant basis, and you work with these people all the time. So
Thank you.
that's really cool in itself. And some of the stuff you've done, you just share with me how you did get a chance to go out and help the orphanage you wanted to work with, and
Hmm.
the other goals you reach with the real estate investing and things of that nature, which is something you're real passionate about.
Yes. So for me, I want to go for what I'm passionate about. Um, I want to make a difference. And if I'm going to go preach about other people living their passions, I better go do it myself first. Because in the industry that I was in, you know, a lot of the times it was all a facade, you know, not everybody, but there's a lot of people out there in general that put on a facade and don't do what they say they're going to do. And that's who I was. You know, I was hiding behind fear. Fear was a big part of it. A huge part of it was fear. The majority of it was fear. And once I realized it was fear, I let it go. And I don't want anything to control my life. So what I want to watch what I eat, what I say, what I do, how I think, and how I act. And I can't do that if I'm constantly living in fear, because I'm letting fear control me. And so once I realized that, it was easier to do a reprogramming switch to say, okay, I cannot do this. I have to be in control of fear, because ultimately it ruins lives, it ruins relationships, it ruins business, and it's not something that I want into my life. My kids are the biggest thing. You know, they're watching everything I do. Do I want them to live out the things that I've done in my life? Absolutely not. You know, but how can I tell them not to if I'm not going to be the example? They're going to do what they see. You know, people are like, well, do as I say, not as I do. That's just not how it works. People look at your example and they're like, either I want to be like you or I don't want to be like you, or or they just are like you. I know there's times where a lot of parents are alcoholics and their kids want nothing to do with that. But I don't want my children to look at me going, I don't want to be anything like her, you know? And that was a big thing. I mean, I want to be somebody that they can look up to and want to be like, and I can help them through their issues, and they have that trust factor. It's a lot easier to teach and train your children when there's trust there. Oh, my mom practices what she preaches, and therefore I want to go ahead and do it because I see it and she lives it, and I'm going to be like her when I grow up. That's what I wanted. And where I was before is not somebody who I would ever want to be friends with. But now it's a lot different. Now I am into creating those authentic relationships with as many people as I can, both in business and personal. And through that, I know my kids are going to see they already do see a difference. Whereas before they didn't really want to hang out with me much. Now they're like, I want to be with you all the time. So right then and there, I know that, okay, things are a lot different than they were, because now I want to hang out with me, you know, and I wasn't like that before. So.
Well, what would you say to somebody who's out there and they were feeling like you were at the time? What would you say to that person?
I would say to go work with Daryl. You like that one? Sure. No, seriously though. If you're not, you know, if it's not somebody who, you know, because you don't take any clients, you don't take everybody. But if it's not somebody that would connect with you, I would say to really get down there and pray and ask God to send you the right people. And that's kind of what I did. I knew that I had a problem. I knew I needed to make a change. I didn't know how. And people are like, well, just do it. Well, for me, I'm different than everybody else. I need to see it. I need to actually see it. I need to see it. I'm a visual person. So if somebody's going to just tell me something, I'm not going to get it. I have to see it happen. And so I prayed and I said, God, please send me the right people in my life to help me, because I am not getting it and I want to make a change. So the first step is to admit that you have a problem. I had a problem and I knew I did. And so the second step is to ask for help, and going in, and I wasn't comfortable asking other people for help. So I went to God, and he sent me the absolute perfect people for exactly what I needed at the time, and continuing to do that on a daily basis with everyone I meet across the country. I mean, I do travel a lot, and I meet some of the most amazing people, and I know it's ordained, because I've asked, hey, please send me the right people that I can help, that I can be a blessing to, but also vice versa. People that could help to reset my mind if I'm going down a path that I shouldn't be going down. So if somebody is struggling, and there's so many people struggling with exactly the same thing or worse, you know, I met a guy in St. Louis, and we were talking, and I was struggling that day. Like I really was. And, you know, he said to me, he's telling me his story, and his story was he lost his why was he lost his child. And I said, well, how old was your child? He said it was, you know, my son would be 11 in November. And I said, when was his birthday? He said, November 3rd. And I said, that's my son's birthday.
That's my daughter's birthday.
That's your daughter's birthday? So I said, whoa, I said, wow, you know, that's my child's birthday and I have my child. This guy doesn't have his child. You know, he has to go through all those emotions. I don't really have it that bad if you think about it. I have both of my kids. Yeah, I did lose a child, but I have both of my kids and I have so much to be thankful for, and so much that there are so many people out there with way worse stories than me, you know, from sexual abuse to, you know, things that they couldn't control. And me, I never had any of that, you know. So why am I looking at this thing as the worst thing ever when so many people have it way worse? And so that image of him not having a son, and I do, also helped to reshape the way I was thinking even for that day, because it was something that I never want to experience. And so I guess if somebody's struggling out there, realize that, you know, somebody does have it worse than you. They really, really do. And for me, every time I mean, I've done it. I've had it where I've had such the worst day ever. And then for some reason I got dragged to a charity gala, and the charity gala was a fundraiser to help children with cancer. And on the screen were little kids that were the exact same age as my kids that we were paying tribute to. And then again, I'm sitting here going, I still have both my kids. You know, I still have my health. I still have my whole family. I still have so much to be thankful for. And every time I get sucked into that sad, poor me mentality, I'm reminded, and God sends me constant reminders of this person has it worse. So, and I prayed and I had to ask him to send me that because I wasn't getting it. So, and he did. So.
Is there anything else you'd like to share that's on your mind?
If you have any other questions, if not,
No, that's it. I just wanted to say thank you.
There's
sharing.
hope. Yeah. That's what I can share. There's hope.
There's hope. So Rachel, thank you for sharing. And where could people learn more about you and what you're doing?
Oh boy. I mean, I'm on all the social networks. Rachel Coppola, Rachel Lee Coppola, every social network, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of it. Cool. Snapchat.
Learn all of Rachel Coppola.
Yes.